Hi, Felina here with Skylar to talk about the lack of, this is a common thread in the media these days, the lack of investment capital for female entrepreneurs. And this came up in an article that we read recently, and I want to just talk about this in two different fashions. Number one, I personally get the question a lot from our Hera members. We do a lot of workshops around business startup, a lot of intensive, what we call labs through Hera Labs, specifically the Idea Potential Lab. And the conversation comes up all the time where I'll have a member that comes to me and says, I'm looking for investment capital for my business. And I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. But I would say 80% of the time when someone mentions that to me, they have a business that is really, frankly, oftentimes not eligible for what is referred to as investment capital. So just as a recap, when we're throwing around the word capital, investment capital, and venture capital and angel investment, most of the time that is related to high tech, clean tech, or biotech, meaning something that's scalable, something that that individual or group can get their money back in a couple years with a 10x or 20x return. And if you don't have a business that fits into that mold, you're probably not going to get that type of capital. Now, it's not to say that there's other options, and there are many other options. Microcredit loans through organizations like Captial are a great way to go. It may not be as much capital as somebody is looking for, but looking at it from a debt angle versus giving away equity angle is obviously a partial recommendation on my part regardless, because when you're giving away equity in your company, that gives away some of the decision-making control that you have oftentimes. So I want to mention a few options that we're developing here at Hera Hub. But before I do that, Skylar, when you read this article, what struck you, or what dialogues have affected you over the last year as you've continued to grow your business around this access to capital idea?
You said my best piece of advice to you is to build your business and to save money, and then it's your own money that you're investing versus getting it from someone else. And then you suggested another thing you could try is crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So I put together a Kickstarter and we submitted our video. We were not accepted, which is fine. It was a great learning process and experience, but that actually made me think a lot about taking my business and really making it scalable if I wanted to get it to that level. And so one of those things in the article that the writer had mentioned is that women are not getting as much venture capitalist money or funding as the same rate that men do. And that's often because women tend to think smaller. Like looking at my business myself, I'm so much a part of it. How could I even make it something that could be global? If I'm not there, there's no business.
Or the main question is, what's your exit? What's your exit strategy? How do I, if I'm going to give you $1 million, how do I get my $1 million back? Hopefully tenfold. And that's the first question any investor, we're talking equity side of things versus debt, any investor is going to ask is, how do I get my money back?
Exactly. And looking at service-based industries, I mean, that's not really scalable, and it's not really an option. So I think one of the biggest things that I really took out of that article and out of this discussion with you is I've never once thought about an exit strategy. I know that I want to take Red Balloon to be like a global brand that's recognizable, but how can I do it when it's just me that's running it? So I've really been thinking bigger. Instead of just San Diego and paying for my bills, how can I really get my business to a point where it's producing at that kind of level, where I'm making that kind of money, where I could get investors if I needed to, and could really promise and guarantee that they would be getting their money back.
Exactly. And you bring up a really good point, Skylar, which is, again, not to beat a dead horse, but what might be a better suit for your business is a small business loan, which you pay back. So nobody owns you, so to speak. They don't own a portion of your business, but it allows you to have some bridge capital to take your business to the next level, and then when you get to that next level, you pay it back. So small business loans are becoming easier to get after we came out of the crunch of 2008, and a lot of the dialogues in the media are around how capital's flowing again and banks are lending, and it's becoming more and more true. And to your point, this great point, the crowdfunding world has just, in my mind, really changed the way that we are, dealing with things. So. A couple of the things that we're doing here at Hera Hub are really spurred by the educational arm, as we call it, of Hera Hub, called Hera Labs. And Sylvia Ma, who is an investor in Hera Hub, has spurred this amazing segment of the business that really is around how do you help a woman really flesh out a business idea and figure out how to take it to market, and giving her the intensive education, action-oriented education to move her business forward. And so Sylvia is working on developing the Hera Fund, which will be likely part of a foundation that she's building. And really helping women who need just maybe $5,000. If they go through what she's developing, which is a boot camp, they'll have an opportunity to pitch and then potentially secure some of that startup investment capital that they need for their business. And then another one of our members is developing a program called Next Level Angels, and this is more on the debt side of things, what's referred to as micro loans, where women who, again, somebody like yourself who maybe just needs $10,000 or $15,000 to buy some equipment for your business or whatever you might need to get to that next level. And typically a microcredit loan might be paid back in 6 months or 2 years, a much shorter period of time than what we know as a lot of the loans, like a car loan or a home loan, is paid back over a longer period of time. So I'm really excited about those programs because that gives entrepreneurs a new level of access to capital.
Absolutely. And I think it's really great just because for myself growing up, and in high school, college, and I wasn't a business major, I didn't have access to that kind of information, like stock, equity, all this kind of stuff. It seems so foreign to me, so actually having a forum to not just understand what it is, but really use it as a tool to grow your business is imperative.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. I'm excited to share more as we continue to get Hera Labs and Hera Fund really launched into the world.